Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. In today's video, we're going to be doing another foundation review. Today is going to be another luxury brand because I am going to be showing you guys how the new Surratt foundation performs. This one is called the Dewdrop Foundation. It comes in 20 shades. I have mine in the shade 6.5, which is, I think this one's described as a medium beige. Let's hold off on the description of the actual foundation and what it's going to do for us because I really want to talk about the packaging. This is like no other foundation that I have. I'm someone that's really into packaging. I don't buy things because of the packaging, but I appreciate when I'm interested in a product and it comes in something like this. This is a very simple, it's really cool and just very innovative. It's a really good size to travel with as well. It's not going to break on you or anything. And I really like how it's so tiny. It's almost like a lipstick. I mean, not quite, but almost. Let's see. Do I have a lipstick? I mean, okay, in comparison, it's not exactly like a lipstick, but just about. I have this other foundation I'm testing out as well. And you can see this is not something I would ever travel with, but this one here, I will. Surratt is more of a sophisticated brand, definitely a luxury brand. Looking at their packaging of other makeup products, I feel like they're very simple with their packaging, but also quite modern. And this is a perfect example of that. This is the first Surratt makeup product that I am trying out. I actually don't own any other makeup product from this brand except some of their brushes. I do have a few of them. I think they're amazing. However, they are so expensive. I got them when Sephora, it was like a random day that Sephora had them for 50% off on their website. I don't know if it was a glitch or not, but I jumped onto the opportunity because I had been wanting to try those brushes and I was only able to get two. At 50% off, I can only get two because of how expensive they are. Even at that price point, they were still super expensive. Definitely the most money I've spent on individual brushes, but they are really, really great. I do not regret that purchase at all. So since then, I've always wanted to try out more makeup products from Surratt, but I just kind of never knew where to start that journey, and then other things would come out that I would purchase instead. So I never got around to it, and now I did. I had this foundation for almost a week. The last 4 days, this is all I've been wearing. So I know exactly how I feel about this foundation, and I will share that with you throughout today's video. I do want to point out that Surratt has no frills when it comes to describing this foundation. It is very much straight to the point. They tell us what this foundation is going to do to us, and the information that they provide to us is something that we can easily test out by simply wearing it 1 or 2 days. So here it says, this light to medium coverage foundation has a dewy, hydrating finish that's ideal for everyday wear. Its unique delivery system ensures your complexion receives the optimal amount of coverage each time you apply. This one's offered in 20 different shades. I'm not sure if I already mentioned this. And I have mine in the shade 6.5. Yep, 6.5. I was a little scared because I ordered it from the Surratt website, and once you open one of their products, you can no longer return them, which is kind of sucky as far as customer service. I don't know why brands do that, which is why I do typically wait for products to release at Sephora. But Sephora doesn't have this in stock yet. I don't know if they will or when they will. I think as of right now, you can only purchase this from the Surratt website. So if you're planning on getting it from their website, make sure you take your time to figure out what shade is going to best match you. But this one so far is pretty good. I want my skin to look like skin on a daily basis. I don't want to look super made up. That's a phase that I'm currently not into. If I do have a special occasion or if I want to have a nice evening out, I will go with a foundation that has more coverage, that I can achieve more of that flawless look. But on an everyday basis, I want my face makeup to look more natural and just feel comfortable throughout the day. Just how the name of this foundation implies, it is going to give us a dewy finish. At first, I was a little bit hesitant as to whether I did want to try this out or not. Just so that you guys know, I do have combination skin, so my T-zone gets oily, my cheeks are a little bit drier, especially my left cheek, and I do have sensitive, acne-prone skin. Because my T-zone gets oily, when a foundation says that it's dewy, I usually skip on them. I like a luminous finish, I like a hydrating finish, but honestly, the word dewy scares me a little bit. I obviously still decided to just go ahead and give it a try, so I'm going to show you you guys how it performs on combination skin. You want to make sure you shake the bottle really well before you go in to apply. So I already did that. Now I'm going to flip it over, and usually the foundation wants to just come out pretty quickly on its own. So I'm going to press this button back here. So that's one. So that right there, oops, I got a little tiny bit extra. But that right there is about 2 pumps. They recommend that we only use 1 to 2 pumps. I definitely need more than that. So we'll start off with 2 just so that I can show you guys how it looks. So now I'm gonna grab it with my finger and just dot it around my cheek. I feel like that was pretty much the 2 pumps almost. And now I'm using a brush. I only like to use these type of formulas with a brush. If you prefer a beauty blender, I mean, I'm sure you can use one. I just think that it'll really soak up the product, and just lightweight foundations, I don't necessarily like to use a makeup sponge. This is how I like to apply it, so this is how I'm showing you guys. Okay, this right here is all that's left from those 2 pumps. So yeah, 2 pumps is not gonna give me, I mean, it gave me a little bit of coverage, but it's definitely not enough for my entire face. So let's go ahead and do 1, 2, let's do 3. Now there is no scent to this foundation, which is really nice. I prefer them to not have a scent. From the last ones, I have another Chanel Ultra Latent Velvet Foundation that I just reviewed in my last video. That one did have a scent, but I didn't feel like it was too overpowering. What other foundation? I don't know if I have other foundations that really have a strong scent. Actually, there's one that I did test out last night. I just wore it for a few hours, and I did not like the scent of that foundation. I'll probably do a word test for you guys on that one as well. It's the new Guerlain foundation, but so far I don't know about that foundation. So this one here blends very easily because it is such a lightweight consistency. It doesn't take much effort to spread it around the face. So this right here is how it looks with 5 drops of that foundation. I like the coverage that it gives. My skin looks very natural, which is what I am going for. As you can see right off the bat, it doesn't look dewy. I think it just gives a really nice natural finish. It looks like I'm wearing nothing. It does a pretty good job at evening out my skin. Of course, it's not going to cover any of these blemishes, and where I have more redness, that is still peeking through. I'm keeping in mind with a foundation like this, I know it's not one that's going to help with concealing all of my imperfections, so I will be spot concealing those. So right now I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup. I am going to set my T-zone. That's something I've figured out I definitely have to do. So let me go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'll be right back to show you guys how everything applied over it and how it's looking so far. Okay, so I'm back with my makeup fully done. I've had the foundation on for about an hour at this point, and as of right now, there are no signs of this foundation looking dewy on my skin. I did set just the T-zone as I had mentioned I was going to, but I didn't set the rest of my face, and I had no issues with applying my bronzer or my blush over. There was no skipping going on. I opted out from using a highlighter today because in a few hours this foundation is going to start looking dewy, and with my skin it really doesn't flatter me as much when I have too much shimmery going on plus a dewy foundation. So I used a matte bronzer, a matte blush, and no highlighter today. So far I think it's looking pretty good. It still looks very natural, very skin-like. It's where I cannot tell where my foundation ends and where it begins, which is phenomenal. I love that. And yeah, I really like this. I did go ahead and spot conceal where my blemishes and my pigmentation was still peeking through. I think I only built up this foundation to a light medium. If I wanted a solid medium, I would have had to go in with probably another 2, maybe even 3 more drops of that foundation to get to that point. I do have to say though that if you were to build up this foundation, it's not going to look piled on. You guys know I've expressed this in my previous videos if you've been watching, that I like to use the foundations as they're intended to be used. So I wouldn't go in and try to get a full coverage out of this because that's just not going to be possible, and it's not going to do any favors for our skin. And so this one, it does build up very nicely and very seamless. So I did want to mention that because I don't think I actually built it up to its full capacity today. Maybe I should have gotten in with a little bit more. I just felt like I was already using more than what they had recommended. So I wanted to stop at about 5 pumps, but I'm happy with how it looks. Really, I didn't need to use any extra foundation, so it's fine. Yeah, so nothing's been emphasized. There's no clinginess. I don't have anything settling into any of my fine lines. No oils breaking through as of right now. So right now I'm gonna go about my day, and I'm gonna come back in about 3.5 hours to show you guys how the foundation has worn so far. I know at that point I may have to do a little bit of blotting, maybe some touching up, because I am going to go out for the evening. So I'm going to wear this makeup till I'm pretty much done for the day. So I'll show you guys how this performs with wearing it for over 8 or 9 hours. It's 6:15, so I've had on my foundation for a little over 4 hours, and I think it's holding up pretty darn well. There is really not much for me to touch up. There's a little bit of like oils breaking through right here, but that's just the foundation doing what it's supposed to do, giving us that dewy, luminous look. And I think it looks actually really nice. I don't even think I'm gonna blot because it doesn't look that bad. I'm really hoping, because I can't tell through my little viewfinder exactly how my skin is looking right now. So I'm really hoping that the lights aren't making my skin look extra oily, because it's really not oily at all. I wouldn't describe this at all as being oily, which I'm actually a little bit surprised. I did powder a little extra today. And what I mean by that is I grabbed this Huda Beauty, this is the Face Bake and Blend brush, and I use this other side that's a little bit more, I still have powder there, that's a little bit more dense. And so I picked up the powder like this and then applied it onto my face. I'll just go ahead and apply whatever is here on the brush. So I just pretty much did it like this, tapping motions. And I did this all throughout my T-zone area. So I think this really helped with keeping the oils at bay right here where I don't really want to look super oily. The rest of my face though looks really nice. It looks very healthy. I'm very happy with how this is looking so far. So I have no complaints. I think right now, as far as touching up, I might go in and fix my under eye area a little bit. It's looking a little creepy, and that's it. Maybe just reapply some lipstick. My husband and I are gonna have a dinner real quick because we have a soccer game to go to. And yeah, so I don't wanna look all made up anyway. So I think it looks pretty darn good. It's still not emphasizing any texture or dry patches. Yeah, I really have no complaints whatsoever on this. So I'm really happy with how this is looking. I am going to take my blotting sheets with me just in case I do have to blot. And when I get back tonight, I'll let you guys know if I did end up having to blot or not. And then I'll give you my final thoughts on this foundation. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. I'm back. It is currently 11 p.m. So I've had on this foundation for just about 9 hours, and I'm very happy with this foundation. I already knew I liked it before even starting to film today's video because I had been testing it out. But today, I think the things that I did a little bit differently really made a difference, where my face really didn't get super oily. The previous days, I shouldn't say they got super oily, but my T-zone definitely looked extra shiny. So I would just have to go in and blot. Then after blotting, it would look pretty good and the coverage will maintain the same. Whereas today, I didn't blot at all. All I did was during my check-in when I grabbed whatever powder was left on this brush and did a little bit of touching up around this area right here. And that is all. I did no other types of touch-ups with my foundation today. I think what really helped was the fact that I used that matte bronzer, the matte blush, and I skipped on the highlighter. That really worked to my benefit. That came in starting today's video knowing I do like it. But after the way I use it today, I'm more in the I love this foundation stage. Like, I think this is really nice. My skin still looks like skin. Nothing really gathered. There is, no, not really. Like, it's so minor that I hardly even want to point it out, but there is just a little bit of settling on my left side here on my smile line. But besides that, I mean, and it's so minimal that it's hardly even worth mentioning. But that's just here on my left side right here. And then oils are like breaking through a little bit on the sides of my nose, but that is typical with pretty much any foundation that I have. So I'm not going to hold it against this one, because we're working with the DIOR foundation today. So this was kind of bound to happen. But hey, at the 9-hour mark for my skin to still look like this, I think it's pretty darn good. Even when I did my check-in earlier, I didn't even feel the need to actually go in and do any touching up. I just did it just in case. So as of right now, I already know if I decide to use this foundation, I know at least halfway through my day, I'm going to either have to blot or go in with a little bit of powder to have more control as to how shiny my face looks. But I don't consider that to be a big deal. I am honestly very happy with how my foundation is looking. Of course, if you have oily skin, a dewy foundation may not be something I would recommend, but if you have dry skin or normal, this would work the best on you. And for those that have combo like me, just know we're gonna have to do a little bit of touching up at some point during the day. To be honest, I didn't really have a lot of expectations for this foundation to be long wearing. It was a pleasant surprise that it actually is. Yesterday, I think, is when I wore it the longest, or if not, it might have been the day before. And that was about 13 hours. And even at the end of the day, it still looked really good. I had a little bit of wear just on like this side right here where I didn't set. But today, there's no wear whatsoever. Nothing is peeking through this foundation that I was able to cover earlier today. And I'm very happy that I did end up giving it a try. It's for sure a thumbs up in my book. This is definitely going to be one of those foundations that I think I'm going to be reaching for quite frequently, especially for days like today where it's just more of a laid back day where I want my complexion to look a little bit more even, but I still want my skin to show and look healthy. Alright guys, so that is it as far as today's review on the Dewdrop foundation from Surratt. As I mentioned, I really do like it. Let me know in the comments down below if it's a foundation that you've been interested in, or if you've already tried it. Let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, before you leave, if you have not yet, make sure that you subscribe so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Thank you so much again. Until next time.